Belfast City, 1977. Sergeant Willits is on duty. In a station in the city, a British soldier stood, talking to the people there, if the people would. Some just stared in hatred, and others stared in pain, and the lonely British soldier wished he was back home again. Come join the British Army, said the posters in his town. Come see the world and have your fun. Come serve before the crown. Well, jobs rightly come by and he couldn't face the dole, so he took his country's shilling and enlisted on the roll. 10 years in the army gives a man experience, a man who's made the grade, some medals and a pension, some men resent the trade. Then came the call to Ireland, as it has done before, another bloody conflict in an endless civil war. The priests, they stood on both sides. The priests, they stood behind, another fight in Jesus' name. The blind against the blind. The soldier stood between them, between the whistling stones that led to broken bowls and then to broken bones. The petrol bomb that burnt his skin, the nails that pierced his side, and he wished he'd stayed at home, surrounded by his kin. The station filled with people, with daughters and with sons, who stared with itchy fingers at the soldier and his gun. But there in the station, and where the people warred, a screecher breaks, a yell of fear, the shatter in a glass. The window of the station broke that let the package pass. A scream came from the mothers as they ran towards the door, dragging crying children from the bomb upon the floor. The soldier stood. He couldn't move. He couldn't use his gun. He knew the bomb had seconds and not minutes on the fuse. He couldn't run to pick it up and throw it through the door. There were far too many people there, too many running feet. "Take cover!" yelled the soldier. "Take cover for your lives!" But the Irishmen threw down their young and they stood behind their wives. They turned toward the soldier with fear in their eyes. "For God's sake, save our children, or they'll end their short lives here." The soldier stood. He couldn't move. He couldn't use his gun. He knew the bomb had seconds and not minutes on the fuse. He moved towards the package, his stomach like a stone. Why was this his battlefield? And why was he alone? He lay down on the package and whispered one farewell for those back home in England, for those he loved so well. He saw the sights of summer, felt the breeze on his brow. Young girls in the city park, how precious were they now? The soaring of the swallow, the beauty of the swan, the turning of the beauty of the turning earth. How soon would it be gone? A muffled, soft explosion. The room began to quake. The soldier blown across the floor, his blood a crimson lake. They turned their children's faces from the bomb and from the blood and from the stone. Outside, a crowd had gathered. The ambulance had come to carry off the body of a pawn lost in a game. The crowd, they clapped and jeered, and they sang their rebel songs. One soldier less to interfere where he did not belong. And will the children growing up learn at their mother's knee the story of the soldier who fought for liberty, who gave his youthful body as a means towards an end? Those who called him enemy, not friend. Lieutenant Harris, Camp Foot, Sergeant Willits.